And like, hang on, what did I do after and before?
Yeah.
Yes. I remember that. Yeah.
Maybe one more, couple more guys. All right. Ready to get started? We are missing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people, but maybe they can, maybe they won't. But this is pretty typical of what's going on at the moment. We've got 30 coming to Melbourne. 30 coming to Sydney on Thursday, and 6 coming to Melbourne. And it's just I think there's a fear of people coming out at the moment. There's so many people sick at the moment. Every second person I'm talking to is sick. But we will persevere and keep trying to build cap and stable numbers up. So I want to thank you all very much for persevering while we do get our numbers back to the glory days and the heydays of what we used to have in Brisbane. And being Queensland my home state, I'm very I guess passionate about trying to get things happening here. And I want to make a special mention to Danny and the team at William Buck for hosting us in this fantastic meeting room. Thank you very much. The good news is we've got a very big topic, and we're going to get a lot out of it with you here. And I'm Tony Hall, for those of you that I haven't met before. Most of you I have, and I specialise in helping to increase the performance and grow recruitment companies right through to the grand old area of succession later on. I've been doing this 20 odd years now. Used to be own a recruitment company. I used to manage recruitment teams. So I've been where you guys have all been, and still really passionate about the industry, and find the dynamics fascinating. Of all the types of businesses that I've consulted to, recruitment is, you'll agree with me, probably the most interesting and challenging of all of them. So thank you all very much for being here. And to get started, we've got, our topic is innovative candidate sourcing, and we're going to do a brainstorming format. So the idea here is we're going to go around the table first of all and introduce each other. You introduce yourselves really quickly. But the idea here is it's the collective knowledge. So have a think about things you've been really struggling with and put it out there. We've got some very good brains around the table here today. So there'll be some things you go, yeah, that's blindingly obvious, and there'll be other things you go, hey, I can use that strategy. And you're all from different markets, different industries, different levels of recruitment, doesn't matter. We can talk some things that might work for Rosemary in office support receptionists, might work for senior legal people, we don't know. But let's have the discussion, have the debate. If there's any areas that you really want to cover, then please put it out there to the group. And we have got about 3 or 4 people that have asked for the recording, so they'll give some feedback as well, and I'll send you out the recording of today as well. And I'm going to record when we do this one in Sydney and Melbourne and send it to you guys as well, so you can have the benefit of the larger group in the other cities to see what they're doing. All right, so I'm Tony. Over to you, Peter, if you don't mind. Sorry, you got a mouthful. You can pause. I'll start on my right to Danny. Sure.
No, she's got a mouthful too.
Can you introduce yourself, a little bit about what you do?
Okay, cool.
And then we'll go around the table.
Yep, so I'm Danny. I'm one of the senior managers here at William Buck, so I work in business advisory. So I suppose from like the recruitment side of things, I do more like interviewing staff to come into my team. So therefore, it's handpicked and shortlisted for me. So I've been working with William Buck for over 10 years now, since I started as a graduate.
Fantastic. Are you on the board outside? Yeah.
Yes, I am.
You are?
Yep, I got on board this year, so very exciting.
Well done. Very good.
Awesome. My name's Nicola Steele. I'm the founder of JJP Talent Solutions, which is an IT recruitment business. Mainly specialising in the software space, so software developers, product managers, testers, all that kind of area. Been doing it for my sins since 1999. I must have been a child when I started. But I founded JJP in 2018, so just over 4 years ago. I moved to Australia 10 years ago. And I think that's about it.
Sounds good.
Yes, and specialise, in tech startups, scale-ups, SMEs, rather than big corporates. That's the space that I enjoy working in and thriving. So,
Very good.
yeah.
Thank you.
So Rosemary Ellis, Stenhouse Recruitment. So I specialise in business support. So anything sort of that 120k and below in an office is pretty much us. So Stenhouse I purchased 19, 20 years ago, and yeah, so been around a long time, but been in recruitment since 1987, something like that. Don't know why I never got out. And yeah, so we predominantly do a lot of customer support, office management, and accounts as well as HR. So across the board, anything within an office, comms, anything. Yeah, it's us.
Rosemary placed me at Carroll,
I did.
where I live work now.
Is that right?
And have been happily employed. Oh, happily employed.
Happily employed.
Happily employed for how many years?
This will be my 10th year.
Is that right?
Ian, yeah. So Carroll Consulting have been around for over 30 years. Mainly, so my role is a bit more of a coordination strategy rather than a client-facing role. So in a bit of the back end, I've done recruitment client-facing in the past, but we tend to work, I guess, owner-led businesses or working with senior leaders in southeast Queensland, although we are part of a wider network that we do recruit in other states. Really focusing on the culture fit, so it's all permanent, retained work. In executive and pivotal roles. Andy, who's been there for about 7 years, does supply chain, manufacturing, logistics. So we do have quite a few clients in that. Alex does legal, Jules has just come on and he's doing a bit more of the supply chain. So really, we do specialise in some industries, mainly manufacturing, but we are doing quite a few CTO, a couple of CTOs, so it's more of a referral-based executive level piece within the culture fit. So that's what we focus on. Yeah.
What was the name of your business again?
Carroll Consulting.
Carol.
Yeah, C-A-R-O-L-L, yeah. Up in Spring Hill we are.
Thank you.
Great.
Hello, my name's Ross. I am one part of Peppercorn Recruitment, which is legal recruitment, legal risk and compliance recruitment business based literally above the old post office. As Tony will attest, it's probably the coldest building in Brisbane, which is why there's fireplaces in there. I've got a business partner, Pete, who'll no doubt introduce himself in a second, but we started the business, in fact we both studied law together maybe 20 years ago, went our separate ways. As I finished my law degree, went to London for a year, became 5, obviously met Rani there.
Yeah.
Came back, practiced as a lawyer for a bit, then cut a long story short, Pete and I were previously the legal recruitment team at U&U for a few years there, and then decided we can go do this ourselves. And 8 years later, still solvent, still mates, still
Still learning.
Still learning. So yeah, that's us.
But do you specialise in specific roles? Or
Yeah, legal. So it's
Just
like
legal.
90% of the work we do is legal.
Is it lawyers or
Lawyers, yeah,
support?
fair. We don't do any support at the
Yeah,
moment. So we toyed with the idea of getting someone, but again, as Tony will attest, we're sort of quite happy with just being the two of us. There's a lot of flexibility when it's just two of you. So yeah.
And you two haven't seen each other since?
No.
Working in London.
No.
It's a small world, isn't it? Well, it's a big world, really.
Well,
Isn't it?
yeah.
And I've finished my mouthful now, so I'm Peter, the other half of Peppercorn Recruitment. Yeah, as Ross said, had the business 8 years now. Gosh, we've done legal recruitment, both of us, for 16 years, I think it is. And yeah, we just recruit lawyers. So lawyers for law firms, lawyers for major corporates, lawyers for government, and then a little bit of risk and compliance as well. That's us.
Okay.
Very good. All right. Well, we better get into it quickly so that we can cover as much as we can before anyone has to go. But the idea of today's brainstorm is to talk about, well, the state of the market, and I'm assuming that everyone's in a relatively talent short market. Would that be fine? Not much ad response going on. Difficult to find good candidates, candidates that have been counter-offered, all these dynamics are happening. Hard to find staff to grow your business, all this dynamics happening. And I guess for you to get the best value out of today's discussion. We'll try and dig into some of the strategies that are working, and maybe the strategies that people have decided upon to cope with this market, and rather than beating their heads against the wall to try and deal with what's going on, how you've been innovating to address the current situation. Yeah? So we've got a few things to talk about. We'll maybe talk about the state of the economy and the state of the recruitment industry in your particular sectors would be a good, quick place to start, because then we have a baseline for us to start discussing the topic. Yeah? Who would like to start? Who doesn't have a mouthful? Yeah.
Well, I still have nothing. Well, I still got. I actually think it's pretty much across the board. I don't think it's particularly industry sector. Obviously.
Because you see all sectors, right?
Well, we do obviously less in sort of the business support. You know, the hospitality and tourism, I think, is also a different sort of kettle of fish where you've got that fluctuation of gig economy, that kind of thing. I have noticed, as I think I said to you, the last couple of weeks, we have noticed that the response has been better. I had a conversation with SEEK about something else, and they basically said across the board that things are, candidate response is getting better. So
it is getting better now.
It is getting better, and we have seen that. Interestingly enough, we had one role which was a CTO in Melbourne, and we had over 100 applicants for that, so that might be different. I'm not sure of the quality of those.
What sort of role?
It was a Chief Technology Officer.
Okay.
But even across the board with the other roles, there have been a slight increase in response, I have found. I don't think there's a problem finding quality candidates. It's whether they're passive or they really want to make the move. Then the quality candidates are there. It's just whether they, A, they're interested, B, they want to work full time, C, they're not going to get the counter offer, and D, whether they're moving for the right reasons. So they're there, but we're finding the engagement is less. But maybe that's because we're reaching more people. I don't know. But it's the turnaround time between getting a role and placing it is longer. So it might take 2 or 3 months. Now it's maybe 3, 4, 5, 6 months, you know, and we have, I've never seen a candidate sign a contract and then renege on that contract. In my whole, I've been in recruitment and training and recruitment for over 20 years, and I'm sure it's happened, but it hasn't happened at Carroll where they've signed and turned around and said, no, actually, I've got a better offer. So,
but you have seen that once lately, haven't you?
That's the one.
That's one.
Yeah. And other than that, it's more, you get to the, also get to the end stage of qualifying your candidate salary as well, and then you come to the end and they're like, actually no.
Now
I want more. So we're finding
that
some of the candidates are doing it as a market benchmarking for themselves as well. So it's just taking longer to engage, to have the conversations, and also with COVID we are finding that interviews, we obviously want face-to-face interviews. We had one that's now dragging out again because people have got COVID and they've got the flu. So it's,
are they resisting coming in for face-to-face interviews?
Some people are. Some people want to do it via Teams. That potentially could be though that they're travelling from other places. So this is also with clients. So the client team has now got, our client's got COVID. So yeah, the market's it's up and down. I don't know whether it's going to get as bad as what people think it will. I think this stuff's here to stay, but I think it will start to peter out a little bit.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that too. We're going to call on you for a comment on that, about where the market is and whether we see that there is any potential downturn, good or bad, approaching.
Well, I think the US always has good indications. I don't know the rest of that, and there are some indications that people who have the Great Resignation, reshuffle, whatever you want to call it, they're now regretting that. So whether that's going to, I do.
Have you seen the Great Resignation in your sectors? Because we haven't.
No.
We have not
You
seen
haven't,
the Great
No,
Resignation.
well,
I think yes, in
A
some
lot
way.
of people are still bunkering down.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, whether it's they're just staying because they don't know what the landscape's going to be like. So whether you call that part of the reshuffle, but there are a lot of people now wanting flexible working. They don't want to go into the office anymore. They want to have flexible working options. So it's really about selling the benefit of that sort of stuff rather than just the company and
That's right.
yeah.
So there's two views. One, that the Great Resignation is a myth, but then I saw Robert Half did a survey. It was reported in the recruitment media recently that something like 70% of workers they surveyed are looking to make a move within the next 12 months. So
I wonder whether, though, if that survey was done 5 years ago, the result would still be the same. Because what do they say? Everyone's a passive candidate.
That's right. That's right. But that maybe tells us something that they are passive candidates potentially. They might not necessarily move, but maybe they're open to a move, which could be quite interesting.
Yeah, they are, but then they're also open to a counter offer.
Yeah.
Like being headhunted from someone else wants to place them 3 months later,
Correct.
which is
Correct.
happening as well.
Yeah. No, good snapshot. Thank you very much for sharing that. Anyone else want to give a bit of an update on their market and how they're seeing the industry? Nicola?
I think it's the expectations from the candidate, as you said, about salary, and some of them are extremely unrealistic, but there's the word on the street that you're a 140 grand candidate, but you can get 200, which is like, really? That will actually be a sword in your, thorn in your side. So you've got the expectation and the remote working, so it's all about me, rather than about the team and the success of the organisation. And I think businesses need to have flexibility and maybe have a hybrid approach, but 100% remote doesn't always work. And candidates need to have some flexibility there as well. Then on the client side, quite a lot of them are picking up on the fact that you need to raise your salaries, you need to offer more flexibility. So you've got this disconnect, one here and one here, and trying to equal them out. And they're starting to come round, I think, but it is quite difficult, that balance. And particularly, you mentioned about manufacturing. And manufacturing tends, and this is a generalisation, to be a little bit more old school. We need people in the office. But why? Why do you need people in the office?
Unless you're on the site, unless you're on the floor, you need to be there. And you know, they have other things to offer, like you probably finish at 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock,
Yeah.
something like that.
And start
But
early.
we're starting to see a little bit of a pushback from some of our clients, like particularly professional services. I think
Get back in the office.
get back in the office, and that's, I reckon.
Because juniors are suffering.
You've got to learn by
There's a
osmosis.
disconnect. How do you build a culture
Yeah.
when you've got no one in the office?
I haven't seen a lot of
Clients are pushing back as well.
that. Yeah, a lot of ours have had flexibility, but you're still in the office.
There is
you know.
that. Like, there's a
And
magic-
legal's a bit more flexible.
Well, there's a managing
for
partner
support.
of a firm said to us the other day, he said, I've seen, well, at the start of COVID, said, I've seen 10 years of workplace change in 6 months. And it's very true, and I think it was just like,
Especially
what do
for
we do?
legal.
For legal especially, but as he sort of said, what sort of come out of it, this sort of work from home thing has worked for some people, particularly experienced lawyers, particularly females, big time, who don't necessarily want to chase a partnership or the like, but
Yeah.
know their job, know how to do it, can bill, can generate work, but then have the flexibility to do whatever they want to do working at home. That's been a huge boon, but it's come at a huge expense for the graduates and trainees coming through who aren't learning from anyone. And so as a result, what we suspect is going to happen, is there's going to be a little bit of pushback to go, no, you have to come in several days a week. Otherwise, it's just not going to work. I recruited a general counsel role the other day, and the client said they need to be in the office 5 days a week. And I said, really? She said, yeah. It was a couple of years ago, that wouldn't have been an issue, right? And I'm like, no, it's true.
And it proved hard to fill
It's
as well.
proved impossible to fill.
Well,
But again, just generally chatting to a lot of our in-house clients, they are saying there is an expectation now that people need to be back in the business. So I don't know, it'll be interesting to see.
And it makes sense for the juniors.
Yeah,
Because you don't want to be, part of the fun of being a junior is going into the office and
totally.
having that learning and communication, and also
And Friday night.
the fun, yeah.
Yeah.
Which husband, your wife, or partner?
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, exactly.
Come on,
My husband's a recruiter. It's interesting you say about women being better from that perspective. When we were all stuck at home during lockdown, oh my goodness, when we were allowed out again, you couldn't see my husband for the dust as he was off. I don't know what it says about me and the children, but he had to be back in the office.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, it's different for different people.
So in the technology sector, a lot of programmers, for example, have been very, very focused on their work and haven't necessarily needed to be in the office or not. Have you noticed noticed that. Are they coming back into the office or are they resisting it?
A lot of them are resisting it because, of course, they're doing deep work where they're focusing, which lawyers I would have thought as well, that you've got to really get your head down. So being at home, unless you've got little children running around, suits you better. However, I had another candidate, he was based south side, it was a manufacturing company north side, and I said, you will be commuting and having to go there at least 3 days a week. And he said, I absolutely love being in the office, I live on my own, all I've got is this grumpy cat. So that for me is my social life, going into the office. So it's, but you need to be in the office for the collaboration and the communication. So it is a balance. I think the hybrid, I did a poll the other day, and about 40% wanted remote, 45% wanted hybrid, and the rest in the office. From
I'm also
a tech
finding
community.
some conversations will say, if it is flexible, you know, you can be at home for 1 or 2 days, or they'll basically say, I'll come into the office 5 days until I'm established. Like, you know what I'm doing, and then I would like to then have the opportunity to work from home 1 or 2 days a week or something like that. So that's happening as well, those conversations.
That's
So,
very reasonable.
I was at a party the other night, and I was speaking to a lawyer who currently works in the Caymans, and he was telling a story of one of their staff members, and this would be interesting to see whether it starts happening. There's literally just been one of their legal secretaries has just been rumbled because of all remote working 3 jobs, and so what's happening? So what's happened? Apparently, it's a bit of a trend that is starting to happen. Is that it's because you're not as productive when you're at home. There's an expectation. There's always been a sort of probably 60-70% of your work can get done. But if you are actually productive, you can run multiple jobs. And so what's happened is that she's been found to be working 3 $80,000 US jobs a year, all from home. Sorry, look, I've just missed that. I'll get back to it in a minute. It was all a bit strange. There's an internal investigation. Cut a long story short, she's been working 3 jobs, and then and you're hearing stories on probably the tech side. We're hearing stories.
They've been doing it for the last couple of years in the US. I don't think so much here.
People interviewing, and then someone else turning up in the job. And they're going,
yeah, the productivity thing is interesting. I mean, I know what I'm pretty productive on both, but some people are more productive at home because you've not got the person interrupting you 5 times when you just that deep work type of thing. So I think what the challenge is finding what the client and the candidate expectations and making sure that they align, whatever they are.
And it's just more barriers. So instead of, we had skills, we had experience, now we've got working from home, you just add one more layer to the whole process.
When you think about it, it's making it even more difficult to recruit, isn't it?
well, and then how do you give references? The other thing is, how do you give references?
Well, you're still reporting to someone.
Well, you are, but if you don't know who they are, really, if they're just working from home most of the time, it's pretty, and this is, the conundrum is like, well, I don't know, were they presentable? Were they well-spoken? Were they punctual? Were they, it's going to cause a few, it'd be interesting.
But I wouldn't assume that lawyers would give references.
No, they all do. Yeah.
Okay.
Interesting.
Thinking about the litigation.
Postman, to you, how are you seeing the market? What's happening in your sector, and what are the challenges you're facing?
Look, I think it's just what I said, those extra layers of working out what people want. So if you do put working from home in an ad, you get that full gamut, and you actually get more people applying rather than in the office.
So that's definitely
admin is still
attracting
looking
more.
Admin is still looking for that hybrid type role. Obviously, there's some roles that you can't be a receptionist or a filing clerk or something, working from home. So, but roles that, absolutely, people are very much looking for the hybrid roles. But then you get other people saying, I don't want to be at home anymore. Get me out and get me back into the office. So it is. If I was to say percentage-wise in admin, you're probably still looking 70% in the office, with about 30% looking for more flexibility. But that just differs on what admin role that actually is. You do find accounts roles, there is no working from home to a certain degree. They sort of have to be in the office, whether the clients think it's more a confidentiality thing. I'm not saying bookkeepers and things like that, but actual accounts payable, accounts receivable, that sort of thing. Very rarely do we ever see anything that's a hybrid role with that.
So we've got one on at the moment.
Oh, happy, there you go. Anyway,
Receptionist, you told me you can't find receptionists at the
well,
moment.
it was
Why
a
is
junior
that?
receptionist. I had a wad this thing, I still print. There's something about writing down on paper. I can't help myself. Sorry, don't judge me. I'm at the end of my career, not the beginning. But the, you know, I had a wad probably this thick of people that I'd spoken to, left messages for, not getting calls back. So I've left 3. I used to go from 1 or 2 messages. Now I'm going to 3 plus an email, then I want.
Even
We're getting that.
Do you text?
we never get that, but we're getting it.
I have texted as well.
Yeah.
If it's someone that I really want.
Yes.
But that was a junior receptionist for an accountancy practice in the city. Yeah.
We wouldn't dream about that in our generation, not replying to someone, would? Even if it was someone we didn't want to talk
Yeah,
to.
no.
Would we?
Looking at it at the end, I went, I've never in my life left that many messages. And we've just gone to a new phone system, so a VoIP phone system. I'm going, are they not getting through? And then we keep trying our number because you just think,
So
is there
I was
some
gonna ask,
reason?
Is it that seems more than usual for
Oh.
receptionists?
Like 3 times,
Yeah.
like 5 times more. Like I might get 1 or 2 not returning my calls.
Yeah.
This is like 20
Why?
plus.
Why? What's happening? What's going on?
Power shift, they
It-
know, they
They've
know
just
they're
got
wanted.
so many opportunities.
I'm the
And
same,
see, that's the other thing. If you put a recruitment agency in the middle of a process, if they're applying directly to a company, so my daughter's an exercise physiologist just out of her degree. They approached her on LinkedIn, went for the interview the next day, they've offered her that same afternoon. Now you add a recruitment agency into that mix, we're interviewing them, then we're getting their resume, then we're forwarding it to the client, then we're organising an interview. We've lost 3 days, let's say, maybe, or 2. And meanwhile the client's doing it directly within a day.
Do you think quality control is going to suffer because of that?
Yes. Sorry, I do.
Yes.
Because I have always been a quality person as far as, you know, following the process and, you know, behavioural-based interviewing and all of those sort of things. But when you have a 10-minute conversation with someone and they say, yeah, put my details forward, I wonder if every other agency is actually just flinging resumes.
Yeah.
Because I then go, well, I will interview you first. So we'll do a Zoom interview. I'm happy to do a Zoom. I don't have to wait for you to come in. But then I will put a proper resume together to get to the client to sell you effectively. But yeah, so a couple of the government roles, I'm doing probably a 20-minute conversation, then putting them forward. Then when the client decides to see them, then I'll do the full interview so that when I talk to the client after the interview with them. So it's just mixing it up the other way and making sure that you've still got the same amount of knowledge, but it's just not done in the...
We've
that
sometimes
process.
actually interviewed candidates with clients in the room,
Yeah.
just to cut that
To
process
speed it
down.
up?
Potentially, yes, and obviously
like
we do
Zoom?
quite, I haven't done it for a little while, and it is quite specialised, but obviously you have to qualify them quite a lot in advance and make sure, so, but that is one way, or even interview them first and then do a first interview with the same interview that was run just with us, with the client present, so that they can see the same thing, and that sometimes cuts the time down potentially. You know, we had a client actually offer a candidate the job in, and it turned out to be disaster. So we basically said, oh, you know, and that doesn't always happen, but that's okay. So,
But doesn't it all go wrong?
paying us for a reason.
It goes wrong when they don't follow the process.
And that's okay.
And
That
waiting for
rarely
referees
happens.
to come back to you, you can lose the candidate in that period of time. Like even my daughter, I don't even know if they've done the reference checks on it.
No, I think a lot of it is still this market. You know, it's an insane market. Every recruiter we speak to, every single one just goes, candidates are just, you know, and they don't exist. There's more jobs that are out there How anyone
I think
is
it's
on well,
one-to-one.
how is anyone is on welfare at the moment? It beats me for starters.
They're
You know, like,
Well, it's the lowest unemployment.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think it's
Exactly.
one available candidate, someone told me, I'm not sure that that's true, but I heard that.
What was that, Scott?
1-to-1, I think,
One to
for
one.
every job there's one.
There's an available.
There's a person.
Yeah, but
So that's full employment, you're saying?
Yeah, it is.
Yes,
fully
1-to-1. I do remember though, when after coming back from London, it was the other way around, there's too many candidates. I'm not sure what's worse, because at least the phone's ringing, you know.
Yeah.
but
It's nice when it's balanced.
yeah,
It's
you
just
want
generally the other
to
way.
be well placed just after a recession, just on the up.
So,
At the moment, I feel like we're just like full throttle and it's just the gas is about to go. But that'll probably be good. Time for a new engine.
Yeah.
But speed is absolutely key.
Yeah.
Same as you, have that half-hour conversation, 20 minutes, half an hour to qualify, and then when they get the interview, do the Zoom beforehand to make sure they don't have two heads or purple hair or whatever. At least you can brief the client in advance and prep them for the interview so they know exactly what they're doing.
Yeah.
Although sometimes you can lead the proverbial horse to water and it doesn't always drink it. But yeah, speed,
Yeah.
because they're getting 4 offers
Yeah.
Yeah.
per
Well, I had
candidate.
a customer service girl. One side of her hair was red, the other side was black. Quite a conservative client. I still got her into the interview, but she had 4 offers. 4 offers. Customer service.
I think Alex was speaking to one candidate off Seek, so we use Seek Premium, and I had a conversation with this candidate called, and her CV had been downloaded 8 times already that morning,
8 times.
something like that.
What kind of candidate was it? Sorry?
So it was a legal support candidate, I think,
Yeah, well,
from
interesting.
memory. So that, you know, that everyone's using the same tools.
Mm.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah,
So you
well-
can understand why candidates aren't getting back to people, because they don't
Yeah.
know you from a bar, so there's no,
That's right.
you know,
Well,
so.
we had to use a recruiter to find an admin person ourselves. We were like, we saw there were some ads. I was like, nah, I think, like,
Yeah.
you know, we've got no result. Even uni students, we went through QT
Yeah.
and
I
put
an
ads
ad
up, thinking it would be a
there,
great
yeah,
opportunity
nothing.
for us, and there's no like.
Oh, we did
it's
the
just
same,
like,
actually, yeah.
anyway, we subsequently fired the one we did fire.
I'll tell you where's a really good place to find people for those kind of roles. Brisbane Small Business Facebook group.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
Join it.
What's it called?
Brisbane Small Business.
Brisbane Small Business.
So I found my junior, I was about to put an ad on Seek, and then, you know when you're flicking through Facebook whilst you're waiting for your coffee, and there was this post about this young girl looking for work, great customer service, blah, 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 blah. I thought, oh, she sounds interesting, and reached out, and she was great, and she started in January and it's done really, really well. So I didn't have to pay for a Seek ad, and it was her father who posted about her. I could check his background, saw that he was a GM of a property development company, so I thought, well,
Might get a bit of work.
coming from the kind of family where presumably she's had a reasonably good upbringing, because you put an ad on
she's
Seek,
still
you
with you?
don't, yeah, she's been really good.
I think Indeed is also pretty good, the Indeed search for the lower end, I say lower end, but you know, your customer service
Oh,
roles
yeah,
and your
we
other roles.
we do the back
Yeah.
end of Indeed and Seek. Yeah.
Has that
So,
improved? Because Indeed's terrible. goal
Indeed,
is-
Indeed hasn't improved.
No, okay.
I don't think. but
We've given it a go a few
No,
times, but
we
this year
do
it's awful.
get, like, probably out of, I mean, I'm not the resource, I do have a resourcer who does all of that, but she's sending out things regularly, but we get like 3, 4 a week,
wow.
probably coming back saying that they're interested. Can I say we've actually placed someone from that?
Do you pay for your Indeed?
No.
No, so you-
Well, yeah,
We don't.
You don't. I think it was minimal. It was only a couple of $100 a year.
Oh, it might be for the back.
Yeah, the back end search.
Yeah,
for the
it's
back
only
end.
$300-400.
Yeah.
And you get
Yeah, I was gonna say, yes, you
job
did,
advert.
because you told me.
That's what I told you.
Oh, is it free with job?
It's free
Yeah, okay.
It's
with
free to
job
post a
adder.
job.
You can post jobs, yeah.
Yeah, we post jobs on it.
Yeah.
I can
Yeah.
count on one hand how many people we placed off Indeed.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
get one here and
I
there.
did place one awesome person off Indeed. You know, we think, where did you come from?
Yeah.
So are Seek and LinkedIn still the main job boards for all of you? Because they are, it is
Yes.
for us.
Yeah.
There's no other thing we're finding.
I haven't used Seek for nearly a year.
You don't
It
use
was
Seek at all?
just I might start using it again, but quite honestly, I might as well throw my money down the toilet
It is like
because
But it pays for itself for us. That's the
Yeah,
frustrating
Pays
thing.
for itself for us.
Tends to.
Yeah, we made
Yeah.
1 or 2 placements and it kind of makes sense for us.
Yeah.
Before this, it was probably half or more with Seek. Now it's probably a third.
Yeah, that
And I have paid. We have made a placement off the Seek talent search, so that.
So where's the rest of your
Is
candidates coming
LinkedIn,
from?
is LinkedIn the one?
I would, yeah, so LinkedIn
Yep.
is partly, but that might potentially not to be a job ad. We also have LinkedIn Recruiter.
Recruiter.
So we have,
Are you headhunt?
we have for all our consultants have that.
Yep.
So it could be from that. The job response is there. We don't put every job up. It really just depends because they choose their slot. If they've got 10 jobs on, they choose what they want to put up. So Recruiter, yes, it's whether through the searching, Seek, database, referrals.
The old
Yeah,
phone
main.
This is a
We're
big
also
one.
Same here,
part
we're
Which
trying
one?
some too. Referrals.
Referrals.
part of MPA, which
Ha-
Rosemary was, which I'm not sure whether anyone's heard. National Personnel Association, they're US based. It's basically
yeah.
a recruiter owned.
Mm.
Kristen,
Yes.
do you find that useful? Because I did meet her and then I never ended up
Look,
signing
I
up.
think it depends. Well, Rosemary used to be part of it. I think it depends. It can depend. Like anything, you're only going to get out what you. But as well, you've been in it for a while. As with us, it is very handy to have a conversation if you need help in. You have to find the right partners that are going to supplement what your values are as well. But it is another. It's international, lots of splits, so you share
And if you want
candidates,
to travel
candidate
overseas,
roles.
you can write her a contact.
So we have, main in Melbourne and things like that, all the roles, yeah, so it's a referral network with other, and that could work too.
But it's great from the perspective of other owner-managed agencies, and it's a very open forum. So they will tell you exactly what they're doing, what software they're
Yeah.
using, what marketing they're using that's getting results. Whereas if you go to, if you go to other things, people aren't necessarily
Very open and
prepared
transparent,
to
As
provide
in
you
larger
with all of that
agencies won't
information.
share the
It's owner,
Yeah.
it's owner,
Yeah.
it's owner-led.
Yeah,
Yes,
so
owner-operator
because we're all
agencies.
quite small, we're
Yeah.
willing to share.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
or
we're
if you
not
get a
competing,
referral
yeah.
outside of
Yeah.
your industry and you feel that that's not going to be where you want to put yours, you can put it in touch with someone else and you'll get a
Yeah.
referral,
Makes
whether
sense.
that's a 70-30 split or, so that's candidate and client as
Yeah.
well. So
Yeah.
it's,
I guess that's a learning point that's come out, that in this market, every job opportunity, if you're not filling it, maybe someone else can.
Yeah.
And that's where it's an additional revenue stream for you potentially.
Oh, absolutely.
And you get a happier client, right? And he's gone, oh wow, thanks for that. You know, you've referred me to so-and-so. that's
yeah,
helped
so
me."
you do a split, whatever you come up to the agreement with, depending on
Yeah.
how much work you do. I mean, we still do quite a lot with our client brief, quite, 20 odd pages. We might put that to, you know, Rosemary knows.
Yeah.
So quite a big process to get to know the company, the pros and cons of the candidate. So it really depends on how much work
Yeah.
you do. Or sometimes you might go, actually, I'm just going to hand it to you. I'll make the referral, and it'll be a less fee or a less
Yeah,
split.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it better? Is it working better in this market than it did in a more balanced market?
I think,
I'm not sure whether it's working better, but we're probably using it more.
Right.
I would think, but maybe that's just because of the type of job that's on at the
What
moment.
NPA are you using?
Not
you
more,
can't really
but-
count me.
No, I know, I just keep
Because-
looking at you, but.
No, because as in,
Well,
Ian
it's
and I
not-
knew each other
Yeah,
way
and it's not
before.
necessarily, it's not necessarily that,
Yeah.
there are actually other networks that do it.
Mm.
It doesn't have to be through a network, it could be just through another
Yeah.
relationship that you have an agreement with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, sounds good. All right, so we've heard from everyone except these guys. Do you want just a quick update of, I mean, we've picked up some ideas of what's happening in the legal industry, but maybe just share a little bit about
Yeah.
some of the challenges you're having and
Yeah.
and put it
We've
out
got
there.
more
Ever been
jobs,
titled
than there are
as
lawyers.
Yeah.
There is quite literally, like, there is more jobs than there are lawyers. We haven't made a marketing phone call probably in 7 or 8 years. We haven't made a marketing call, so we've been quite fortunate to that extent. So work has never been a problem for us, it's always been. And I think, as we've said to Tony, for us, our currency is our candidates. Half our job's already done. We've got the work. If a lawyer comes to us, who's a good lawyer, we can say to them, if they're looking for a law firm job, which is a like-for-like move, if they're in one law firm and they want to go to another law firm, we can say to them, if they're a good candidate, we have 8 options, 10 options, where would you like to work? And it's as simple as a phone call to the client to say, here's someone, and they go, yep, bang. So you can easily do that. No questions asked, great margins, but it's upside down. It's the candidate is our currency. So
that's the problem right
and
now.
that's the problem we've
No
had.
candidates.
And it's amplified as well now because that used to be about 70% of our job. It was like shooting fish in a barrel. It really was great work. Hey, where do you want to work? 25%, thanks for coming. Then it's now, a lot of our work is all in-house. And by that, it's sort of corporate clients, you know, looking for internal legal counsel. And they're grabbing people from law firms. And so it's hard to find it. So we've got sort of two, again, we've been lucky that we haven't done any marketing. Maybe we've got a good website, I don't know, but work is coming to us, but we have more work than there are candidates, and I think everyone's crying out because you can't just create a lawyer with 4 years experience. Sorry?
Is that because they don't want to move? They're happy where they are?
Oh no, they all want to move, but they're all just like, well, it needs to be this.
There's lots of options too.
There's so
So the
many
problem
options.
is, a great example, I called the candidate last week who I'd met with the week before, got him an interview, rung him, didn't return my call, rung me back yesterday, yeah, I've got a job.
Yeah.
So it's moving
we'd
quickly.
spend an hour together, we'd have multiple calls together, no return calls. So again, what you were saying before, exactly right, that's the market for us too. There's just more options for them, and lawyers are smart people, they know it. The problem with LinkedIn too, we've got a proliferation of headhunters from down south starting to come more into our market, which now mean they are getting hammered all the time.
Yeah.
Again,
we
I
don't run a headhunting market in Brisbane. We don't run a headhunting recruitment business in Brisbane. Our logic being it's too small a market to rob Peter to pay Paul. And so there's times where we sit there and we go, oh my God, we could maybe do 2 or 3 years of just raiding and going on a frenzy and we'd make a bucket ton of money, but you'd never be able to walk down Eagle Street again.
But don't you have some clients that you don't work with?
Yeah, we have a few.
We have a few, but again, it's still the case. It's a tricky one because we've said hand on heart for all these years we don't headhunt in Brisbane.
So how do you?
With referrals and advertising.
Database.
And database.
Database is huge. We've done this so long now.
Yeah.
You know so many.
So when you say database, so database is headhunting. Yeah.
No, it's
you know
not.
them.
You know, it's not.
It's not a
It's
cold
not headhunting. It's not a cold. They're on our database. They're there already.
So that might be someone calls me 2 years ago and says, Peter, I want to move in house.
2 years ago, they're like a
That's
1 year
right for
qualified
in-house.
lawyer.
Yeah.
2 years later, they're actually quite a good lawyer. Like, it's quite funny. We've gone back to our. I made a placement the other day. It was like classic old school, desperate times for desperate measures. Going through an old database and sort of found a guy, Bobby, and I was like, God, I remember meeting him. He was hopeless. That was 7 years ago. I'm like, hey, Bobby, how are you?
How's it going? Yeah.
And he goes, oh, funny you should call. I'm actually in the market. Hey, and then that was job done. It was off the database, and you know, we're lucky. You know, like our database is like a wine; it kind of matures. You know, it's quite good. Like the juniors that you couldn't help, sort of 8 years ago, are suddenly pretty experienced lawyers that you know you go actually they're quite good now.
So staying in touch with them is
Well,
really
it's actually you going back to old school recruitment. You know, the nights of sitting there doing those pizza nights and
I was
coding.
about to say, do we
that
need to
Walters
get back
used
to
to do.
the ring-arounds?
I did find out.
Yeah, the ring arounds.
I've quoted you, Ross. The database is like a wine, it matures. I think I say that to my junior recruiter.
I do think, if you have the capacity, that there is the piece with the candidate manager, right, who is sitting there. If you are in a pool,
Yeah.
in an industry who is someone who is maturing that space for you, it doesn't always work and it's another cost. There's that side. I also find with LinkedIn, and it might be a bit different for you guys, the second in mail. So if if you reach out to someone on LinkedIn, we find that if you leave it for a week or something and they haven't come back to you, send them another one to say, hey, I did send you this on purpose, it wasn't bulk.
Yeah.
And that you will find that they do come back to you. You get a much better response.
Does
even
that count?
if it's the
Does
same
that count
message.
as an email if you've?
Oh, well, we've
Send
got
it the second
recruiters, so
time?
it's different. So
Okay.
it doesn't matter. You can.
How much does a recruiter cost?
Well, I think it differs for every.
Yeah,
It
right.
could be maybe $6,000.
I think that's the last quote I got, was something
It's
like
gone
$6
up.
grand.
When it's been July.
£6 per
Per license.
Per license.
But that,
per year.
yes.
Per
Yeah, and that's for Recruiter Lite.
No, license.
No, that's-
Oh, the license.
No, that's not Recruiter.
Yeah.
Full Recruiter.
Mhm.
I've been hearing that it's gone up to something like 3,000 or 4,000 a month.
Okay, well, I've locked in. I don't know.
yeah.
I've locked in for another year or
You
two.
have.
I did the long term.
You've got a good deal. Yeah.
But we are probably one of the first to take it on. So,
So maybe you're getting that.
I don't know. And
A
we have
legacy
well, I'm trying to push that out as long as I can. And we have a couple of licenses as well.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay. And you swear by it?
I don't know whether I'd swear by, but it definitely is something that generates placements, conversations, and you could always be, the guys could be leveraging more of it for BD, etc., that kind of thing. But I think, yes, you have to, for us, even if it's a lower end role, we still go through the same process of recruiter search, database search, seek search, and D search. We do that, that's just part of our process, so we're finding the right candidate, you know, so.
We hadn't done it initially because a lot of lower level candidates were not on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
That's changing now.
Oh, that's
So
interesting.
have you got it now?
I was looking at that.
Yeah, I hear mixed reports
Yeah.
in the
look,
market about whether it works, but I liked your comment that it was the second message,
Yeah.
and that goes back to old school marketing philosophy of 7 touches,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
We kind of go, oh, we didn't get any response, we only tried once, and we go, oh, it doesn't work. But should we be trying 7 times to really, I mean, I know that's an overkill, but to really ascertain whether something works or not?
In the US, it's 14
Is it?
times, apparently. I mean, you'd get arrested.
Yeah.
You know, it would be on you for harassment if you did that, but
I think texting as well for some people, because a
Texting.
phone
Yeah.
call and a message it depends. It's very easy
Yeah.
to ignore. I think with your text,
Ignore, forget.
email.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
dog ate it, my phone.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But that's
Whatever
a really
it
good
is.
point because, for example, with programmers, they're there with their head
Yeah.
down. If you ring them, they're really
Right.
annoyed with you because
Yeah.
they've been focusing. Lawyers must be the same, but if you text them,
Yeah.
they'll just, you know,
Well, also,
they
I
can
just
text back.
think people feel that, oh, I've got a text, I can just text back, it's easy. I don't have to speak to them. I can say no,
Yeah.
yes, or whatever. I don't have to have that engagement piece because I've had 3 other phone calls today. I don't know. You've just got to, that's what I would do.
The younger lot don't like using the phone either.
No.
Yeah.
Ah, so text is more important in
Yeah.
this market?
I'm
is
not
it?
sure it's
Oh,
more
no,
important,
but
but it has to be.
it's
another
very
tool
you
yeah,
need
to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so good.
It's another
It's not like calling
And
through
what
a
about
switchboard. Remember the
video?
old switchboard training you used to do?
Yeah.
Video.
Do you use
Going through the
video
gatekeeper?
Yeah.
to engage with candidates and to sell a role, like a short snippet telling them about the role to get them engaged and
Like on LinkedIn.
on LinkedIn or via email or whatever.
A video.
Nothing too long. just,
LinkedIn we have.
Of yourself.
We have,
yeah,
talking
just
about
saying
the
"Look,
role."
I've got this great opportunity and
Oh,
make
yeah.
yourself
yes, we
more
have.
of a person.
Yeah, we have a couple of times, and it's something we should implement for every single role because you're getting the candidate engagement. Otherwise, it's a static image, and they go, oh, what? Whereas if you're selling the role, you're talking to the camera. Yes, and it has to be short. So we've done it a couple of times. It is something that we want to implement more. It's not like, but you've got what a video module. It costs for us. I think it's another cost that you probably can just do with LinkedIn. You basically your video and you upload it directly from your mobile. So as long
Or
as
a
it's
cheaper option.
professionally, set up nicely, it's not too grand. It's not in your car. It's about countless things that I've seen in the car or walking down the street. It's just, yeah, I think it is definitely a tool because again, the algorithms with LinkedIn, what's getting traction, what's not, they're the things that are getting traction. I think they've just introduced something called carousel for your imaging on LinkedIn, which is, so it's more going into that sort of Instagram
It's good to
video.
have more images on there.
Yeah, so I think it is something if you could do it.
But
Does
even
anyone
with-
else use video? We don't.
I use
Do you
video.
use
I
it?
love video.
Do you do your own ads or?
Another Brisbane small business, I found a free video person. She was setting up her own business and she said, if you give me a testimonial, I'll do a free video. So I'm like, perfect, no brainer. But in terms of jobs, you can just do it on Zoom. Just
Yeah,
record
that's-
yourself on Zoom, put it on Vimeo, and then just flick
What's
that
the cost of
over.
that these days?
Vimeo, about $13.20.
Oh, just for one, okay.
No, for the whole month subscription.
There was another one.
And they'll host it
That's
without
pretty
ads,
cheap.
right?
Yeah,
Whereas YouTube's got ads, right? So you don't put your...
I wouldn't put it on YouTube because you don't really want it in the public domain. It's more.
Yeah.
We've just done it, basically, you can literally put it on a stand, upload it on your mobile, do it on mobile, and it directly goes into LinkedIn and you do it as a
And where's
post.
it saved?
Well, it's on your phone.
There you go.
So
So
then
it's
you
saved in the
just-
cloud in.
Well, it's not saved, it's
No.
saved on your phone, so, and then you just directly upload it.
Yeah, it's just like a
into your
file.
phone. Yeah, it's
right?
just a file.
And a
You
file,
don't
it's up
need
to them.
Vimeo,
Yeah.
no.
No, you're managing it on your LinkedIn profile, so you weren't able to do it, you had to do it on desktop, but on
That's
mobile,
even
I think
better.
you can do it
Yeah.
on both.
So you don't need Vimeo.
No,
actually.
that's what I'm saying, if you don't actually need to. You might like the banners and all that
I
sort of stuff.
suppose,
Mm.
yeah.
Well, and it's there in perpetuity, whereas on LinkedIn it just
Yes,
it disappears eventually.
yes.
All right, so the video is something we need to discuss a bit, all right? And Danny, I don't know whether you want to pipe in here yet, because you're obviously recruiting staff as well. Before we start talking about video, I just want to hold that because it's an important point for discussion. Is there anything that's going on in the accounting world that, now that you've heard all these guys talk about their sectors, that you've noticed?
Well, I mean, it's similar to the legal industry. It's really hard to place seniors and above. So we took nearly 6 months to replace one of the managers here, which was hell on earth for one of the directors. So
Sorry if I jump in,
You're
because
right.
there are a lot of similarities.
yeah, there are.
In your situation, are you getting hammered by recruiters at the moment about
Me
opportunities?
personally?
You personally?
Yes, about once a month I
And-
get messages.
Yeah, and so what have you found, and this is obviously phone of silence, so no one... but you will have seen it all, just like, you've had phone calls, hey, how you going, are you looking for a job? Have you got, you know, what are, so have there been any sort of standouts or, you know, sort of slip up, you know, gee, that always sort of grabbed my attention, that one. Was it a video? Was it something you saw on LinkedIn?
Look, to be honest, I generally have a
We're
policy
so
that
happy
I
here.
ignore. I mostly ignore them because like I've been with William Buck for 10 years and I have no intentions of going anywhere,
Yeah.
so I find it frustrating that I keep getting them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But if you were,
No,
If I were to move,
yeah, what gets your attention?
probably just, I suppose, understanding what I want. So I've actually had one that comes to mind now that you mention it. It was probably more targeted to me. So it was one that was targeted at someone who wasn't intending to move up the chain. So that was more like what I was looking for in my
Yep.
career. So it's a bit more personalised to what I see my career doing. Over the next 5-10 years or something, rather than the ones, hey, this is a job with a progression to partner in 2 years or whatever.
Yeah,
I have
exactly.
no interest in that whatsoever.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I suppose the targeted more to what my career path I wanted to look like. I don't know how that would
they
Exactly.
I don't know how they would have known. Perhaps just the fact that I've been with the
Being
same
an assistant
company.
graduate. Well, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's probably the one that's stood out to me because it's probably was the
So
only
being
one
a
I was-
technical specialist somewhere else, yeah.
Yeah.
Have you used the laws of attraction on Seek?
Mm.
So basically there's a link there and they've got their survey and their data and they basically put industry, put input job role and it basically tells you what's most important to the candidates in that market that they're looking for. So you can write your ad that way.
Yep.
We have sometimes sent different emails out to different candidates for a role depending on and being more personalised about, you know, exactly what you're saying.
That
Or picking a few things out of someone's profile and saying, oh, you know, it's much more work, but it has to be personalised, otherwise it's
So
going
you-
to say it's bulk email.
So you have a LinkedIn profile?
I do, yes.
Why is that?
For work, I had to have it in
You had
order
to
to
have
get to LinkedIn Learning, which is something that William Buck implemented a number of years ago.
Okay.
So that was the only reason that I created the profile, was to
Right.
access that.
Yeah.
Do you think the reason maybe that message was right, and it felt like it was just to you, but possibly that particular recruiter had sent it to 50 other people, that it
Probably.
might appeal to 10% of the people, 5%? Because there's going to be different people that want different things.
Exactly, and normally someone,
No,
I mean, my position is on track for partner.
Yeah,
So
but you're not, you want to keep,
You're
presumably you're a
technical-
merman,
technical
you want,
specialist
No,
without.
no,
that
I
or-
have no choice.
you've got no desire to do
Did you
that.
respond
Yeah.
to that email out of
I
curiosity?
didn't.
Okay.
No, I have a policy, I just ignore them, because I've got like, a couple people who have emailed me, I've said no, and they've emailed me 6 months later.
And did they
I'm
follow
like,
up?
no.
No?
Oh, some,
The second
some
email
that
might have got you. I do think
I
if
would
you
say
are
about
sending
half
emails
email,
and
yeah.
people do come back to you and say no thank you, it's very important to make sure you go back and say thank you. I've had multiple people email me and clearly have not read my background or I've gone back to them and said thanks but no thanks with absolutely no response and you think, oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, then, but it's actually on that subject of sending the right message. So lawyers might be the same, but tech people are quite often very idealistic and want to make the world a better place. So if you go with them with a purpose behind what the tech startup wants to achieve in terms of the people, planet or whatever, and they're like, actually, that really resonates with me. So for example, I reached out to somebody, he just started a new role, it was fine, but it was about health tech, and he was like, this is really important to me. I'm going to sit up and listen. So he had the interview, he got the job.
The story, not just the job, the story of
the whole,
someone that-
yeah, and but I did send that message about what this health tech was going to achieve to, I think, about 150 people. So it didn't, but there was the one, as I say to my junior, you've got to kiss a lot of frogs to find the right, well, not literally, obviously. But
We'd like to have frogs. Like, we don't have any frogs to kiss. That's our issue.
well, exactly. If you find a tadpole, even just get in there. But
Just the tadpole.
but the message isn't going to appeal to everyone. But it's going to appeal to some of them, and then they're going to be the right person as well.
It's the
because
same
of that
with good
message
advertising,
value.
like even utilising Seek. I find, I spend probably an hour writing an ad. So it's not just to get it up
Do you
there.
use that laws of attraction, or do you pretty much
Oh,
know?
probably no,
No,
but I've written it down. I'll have a look. But it is. It's about thinking, what is that candidate really going to look at, and is it the industry? Is it that ability to work as part of a team? I mean, we've all seen a great team, and you go, yeah, no, I can't do that no more. What's that next thing that people are really looking for? Is it work from home? Is it? And if you're not putting that in the 150-word description to get them in to start with, and then really sell that up front, my classic is a lot of my clients have people with them for the long term. And so many candidates, it's that stability. They're all looking for stability now. So really selling stability. If it is the case with the business, I get so much more response when I talk about that
Sorry to
in
interrupt.
admin.
Are you then with the salary not hiding on Seek?
We still
we-
Do you
hide.
still hide it?
We don't. We
Yeah.
display it.
We display it.
Yeah.
That's right. And so you know, so I heard when I had that
Sometimes
conversation with Seek, they're basically saying their results, or they're
Yeah,
saying
that's
that
what they
it's
put
higher.
Salary in.
It's higher if you put the salary in. It's not always going to work for everything, but then I do notice that you've got that extra one-liner
Yeah.
at the top that you could put those little benefits at the top.
Absolutely.
So that is probably good for that, where you've got some extra space at the top. Otherwise, all they're seeing is just
Although it
nothing there.
depends on how good the salary is.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So if it's market rate or a bit less, it's good.
It's going to be.
Not going to have the interest, but if it's got a really compelling purpose behind what the company's doing, that might make them think, it'll
Yeah.
take less money to make better
Yeah.
impact.
Yeah.
You would work for companies that, you know, support, I don't know, I mean, they might do more pro bono work or whatever it is, maybe not.
Yeah,
They
but-
would be using a recruiter, they've got no money. But it just, it's tapping into that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, what
But
is
I
that
really wonder.
purpose?
I genuinely wonder. Do people read ads? Like, do they?
That's the
Like how? Like people probably flick through. You know, they go on a Seek and they have to see lawyer job because Seek have said don't put property lawyer senior associate.
Yeah, it's too long.
They just go
Yeah.
put lawyer.
Well, that's where you've
And
got
you're
that
like,
little
well-
bit at the top.
Well, that's what you've got all that top, but then you sort of go. You kind of feel like you're constantly playing Seek game, not
Yes.
one that you want to,
Yeah.
which is what shit's frankly about Seek, and every recruiter I suspect anyway. But you know, like you sit there and you go, right, as a lawyer who's catching a bus home or train, whatever, they look at their phone and they go, every job, lawyer,
Yeah.
and then do they actually click in and do they actually read it all? Because all the ads, irrespective, you can't change your ads that much.
No.
Lawyer jobs has been the same for the last, and without sort of saying too much about the employer, everyone will go, well, it's that firm, there's no way I want to work for that firm. So you have to make it sufficiently generic. But then you go, every other ad's going to look like that, and that's what they are.
Would you put property lawyer or litigation lawyer as a title?
But that's what Seek's
That's what we're
saying.
saying, don't do it.
No, I'll just ignore that and put the actual thing,
Yeah.
if that's what you need, that's what I would do.
It was interesting.
We've also changed the template, so we're doing a lot more bullet points, not paragraphs,
Yeah,
that's on
we-
mobile, all that sort of fun stuff. But it is the you know, making it about the candidate.
Which kind of comes out, I mean, SEEK's one of those, we've been bumping our gums for years about whether we keep it or not, and sure enough, we get a random CV, you go, oh,
Yeah.
okay, that's kind of paid for the years,
Yeah, exactly.
you know, all right, we'll keep it. But we haven't, hand on heart, looked into LinkedIn as much as perhaps we should have. For some novices here who haven't used LinkedIn, what's the best way of going about it?
What LinkedIn advertising?
Advertise your jobs.
It's
Because, again,
I
comes
think you
back.
can still advertise without having a recruiter.
yeah, you
Yeah, you
can.
can
You
buy
can get
buy
it
a
for free as well.
Is what?
Yes.
You can get it for free.
Yeah,
and
we were
then
getting
you can
that.
pay
They were
daily.
aggregating it somehow because we're getting all these random calls from people going, "So you're out on LinkedIn." I'm like,
Oh,
okay.
yes.
remember that
they
a couple of years
do.
ago,
Yeah.
but now we haven't got
They
any.
pull them through job
That's
adverts,
great.
I think.
Yeah, so it's all aggregated. But if you were to pay for those
Yeah.
packages or whatever, do you know how their packages work and where to begin? Because we've tried someone in Malaysia as
I
a point of
can
contact.
give you a
and he never-
contact's name if you want, our relationship manager. And
Yeah, okay,
reach
no, I
out
might
to
do
him.
that. No.
Yeah, that's
It might be
good.
different because, as I said, we've got a
You
job
give your-
slot for
yeah.
a year that you can pull and manage
Yeah.
yourself under each license. So I'm not sure whether it's different, what the cost would be different for just a slot without license,
Yeah.
recruiter license, which I think you can go. I think, yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I'm happy to
Pay if you haven't got a. I've got a LinkedIn Lite or my
Yeah.
junior
You've got
recruiter, it's not the premium, but even, and I just have Sales Navigator and she has LinkedIn Recruiter because she's doing all of that piece. But if you go on jobs, you can put it up for free or you can upgrade. It's about $18 a day.
Yeah, okay.
Obviously, you don't want it running forever because
No.
$18 a day adds up over a
Yeah.
year. And also, it's getting an old ad and people
Yeah.
can't go apply for it, but you keep it up for a couple of weeks.
Yes.
That's why the
Um,
slot though might work because you have the slot for a year.
That's
And
what
you
they were talking
put-
to us
That's what we're
about, and
talking
then we
about,
could
no,
change the
and that-
slot every
Yeah,
couple
so
of
You
if
just
you
chop and
decide,
change
oh,
your
I'm going
job
to take
ad.
that one
Perfect.
down, I need this,
Yeah,
you might
that's
have
what we
one
were trying to
for each.
get.
And we tried, and no one called us back. They would
Oh,
organise
you're
the
just a little
time
fish in
and
the big cog.
That's the
now.
problem.
And
So
that's,
I'm
exactly,
so I
exactly.
can give you my guy's name.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
The other thing, sorry, well, I think that what we've done, and I'd be interested to see if anyone else has done, like, Pete and I have made a big sort of push over the last 12 months to organically grow follower numbers on LinkedIn. And I don't know if you can buy followers or if there's any way to sort of get more people to follow. But anyway, we've gone from sort of 200 up to 1,000, what is it, 1,500 or thereabouts now in about 12 months, which are Brisbane lawyers essentially. They're the ones that have actually, we've invited everyone.
They're following you.
They're following.
And then we do
our
a weekly
people, and then-
job board that goes up
We
on
do a lot of-
Thursday, another job sort of highlight on a Tuesday, and that's getting all those 1,500 people are people that we want to be looking at these jobs.
And then each of us like and share that work one,
Yes.
and we are.
We definitely get
People don't
commitments from
like it necessarily, or people don't give it the thumbs up or tick it or whatever, because
that, but
obviously.
they call us.
But people go, I saw you guys have got a whole heap of jobs in this sort of space. Can you tell us a little bit about that? And that's actually worked really well.
Have you used your features, put your features on your profiles, on your individual profiles? You've got that little feature spot that you can put things up about yourself and things like that. So that's probably something you could work looking at.
Where's that? The features on your...
Yeah, it's on your individual
your
profile.
LinkedIn?
Yeah, on your individual
Yeah.
profile you can have features. So
Oh,
there's
well,
also,
I don't know if it's-
I've got someone I
Do children's parties as well, or is that what, like,
look, and there's lots of different things. There's what is it called? Whether you've got content.
Oh, content creator.
Yeah, on or off, it depends. One's more followers, one's more invitations. So there's a whole, and the algorithms keep changing on how they do these sorts
Oh,
of
I'll have to
things.
look at
But
that.
have a look at the featured
Yeah, we
sections.
will.
Have a look at my profile if you want. You can see
Yeah,
across
that's all right.
the lot. There's a whole bunch. So we did a bit of work with another lady called Karen that sort of went through a strategy piece with her.
Sorry,
So what
Karen,
are you
I'm
trying
right.
to? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, mate.
I'll let you take notes.
Yeah, so what's the strategy on what your pillars are, what your content pillars? So, I would love if I could hire a content creator for our business. That's where I put my money in.
What's to stop you putting a job ad as a post?
But we do as well.
You do that as well? Okay,
Yeah.
so that's obviously no charge.
Yeah.
As long as you don't do too many of them, right?
Oh, yeah, we do. So we basically send a link to Seek, but we take the Seek image off and put a little image of our own. We put a bit
Yeah,
of
that's
information
important.
about it, all that sort of stuff. So we do that as well.
I still see recruiters with the Seek image there.
Yeah.
They
Oh,
just put the
that's
Seek
awful,
Isn't
isn't
that
it?
bad?
I mean, ours is not great. I think a video piece would be better about it. So
Ah, right. Can we talk
Absolutely.
about video now? you're up to talk about
Sorry,
video?
can I just talk about one thing on LinkedIn? Do you know Adam Houlihan?
No.
So he does a free workshop every quarter, and his next one's on the 30th of August. If you look him up, and he'll tell you all the latest things of the different algorithms.
Okay.
So, for example, he had one about 2 weeks ago, and make yourself a creator. That's where LinkedIn's giving you more push, so to speak. And he doesn't come from a recruitment perspective, he comes from a more generalist LinkedIn perspective. And it's Houlihan, Houlaghan, I think.
The other one you could follow is Karen Hollenbach. She works for the RCSA a fair bit.
Karen.
Yeah, and I think it's HOLLENBACH.
She does money profiles from memory?
Yeah, more than LinkedIn, yeah, the sort of the profiling, but we'll do strategies for your your marketing and things like that, so you can stay in your lane, basically, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But she has newsletters, which is another thing you guys could do if you had the time and effort to create newsletters on your company pages biannually, and you put them out that way. But if you follow her, feeds and things, she has little tips on LinkedIn.
What was her name again, sorry?
Karen Hollenbach.
Hollenbach,
HOLLENBACH.
So with company followers, so you know when we all get those invitations to follow a company, are they automatically generated by LinkedIn?
No, you have to send them out.
How do you send them out?
So you do, okay.
Yeah, so if you go to your company page, you'll
Yeah.
see at the top your little profile,
Yeah.
the green thing at the top, it'll tell you how good your if it's an all-star or whatever it
Yeah,
might be. And the last one is create followers by inviting them to follow. So you just
And what do you
press
do?
the
Do
button.
you
Well,
set
you have
the
to go.
invitations? Because you just get so many.
Depends on whether I'm going to get value out of it. Some I do, some I don't. But I think I went to click it the other day for hours, and I didn't have the time. I think you have to particularly go through your connections and invite the people you want to. So I don't think you can do a blanket.
No,
send
you
it
have
out
to, you have to, yeah,
So
you
you
have
do
to.
have
cherry
to-
pick.
So I've been doing that, and you get 250 credits a month.
Okay.
Well, we get 250 credits a month for our business.
Yeah.
And I've just sort of wondered, like, there's one of our competitors who are NAF, but they do it, like, no, I'm not mentioning names.
I was going to say, don't.
It's been recorded.
Of course.
Sorry, it's only going to a very small audience.
But it's
Not public.
I mean, I want to say NAF, like, that's probably because we recruit a pretty, a fairly vanilla, black and white, conservative type sector, but they're going out on a limb and they're going aggressive with their content, video content, TikTok, some of it you just go, really, and in fact, a lot of my mates who are in the sector are just rolling their eyes going, is this your competitors? Having said that, in their defence, they've gone from virtually no followers to, they're getting a couple of hundred a month now. It's like, well, they haven't caught up to us, but it's sort of one of those ones where I'm suddenly in my rear view mirror going, this is a bit annoying.
I do find that LinkedIn, I think if you're a little bit controversial, you will get the followers.
Yeah.
Whether you want to be that or not, but if you would probably maybe ascertain it's the...
Don't be too vanilla, basically.
You've got to stand out, right?
Yeah, and
You do.
Do you?
But we
Silly
don't
and
because we
controversial.
recruit lawyers. And
but they obviously like a little bit of controversy.
Oh,
the younger ones.
well, I think this is the issue. I think maybe it is the younger ones, the 24, 25, 26-year-olds that do like TikTok. And I was like, TikTok, what would you want to, what are you going to put on TikTok?
Yeah, well, we could probably talk about this because I do want to cover video really quickly and next generation marketing. I mean, that's a whole session that you just touched on there, Ross. But video, right? There's two schools of thought on it. One that it's a bit out there and a lot of people are very uncomfortable doing video. But there's another school of thought that, well, there's some surveys, information that's coming out that's saying 70% of all content now online is video content. So, and recruiters have been traditionally not, they've tried it, they have a go, and then they go, no, this is too hard, or I'm too uncomfortable, or whatever. Keen for your views on, obviously you're in different markets, but what role does video have, given we're in a people market?
Love it.
Sorry?
Absolutely love video.
People love it. Tell us why.
I think it's really personalised, as you say, we're in the people industry. So for example, I said about sending a message, it's easy to say no thanks to a bit of text, but when you have somebody's face actually looking at you and talking to you, it's much more personalised. And similarly, when you're scrolling through your LinkedIn feed, you think, oh yeah, I saw her at that event the other day, what's she talking about now? I mean, yeah, you go annoy some people by it, but a lot of people will buy into you because of it.
Do you, so you video your opportunities and then post it on LinkedIn?
Not as much as I should.
Okay.
It's on my list of things to do, but I think it is something that you can do for your job, something about you more generally in your business and why you're different, about your values, your process. And
How
Is that on
using it now?
your website, or is that,
I've just finished that new promo, so I need to update that as well.
Yeah.
But don't forget your subtitles as well. That's really important because somebody who's on the bus watching you, and they don't want everybody else on the bus to be listening to you, so make sure your subtitles are there.
That's where Video My Job comes in handy with the subtitles, whereas you wouldn't get that. Actually, you can get apps
You
that do
can
that
use
actually,
Rev, which is $1 a minute, and you only want your videos to be short, sweet.
Yeah. So, has anyone uploaded their video story on LinkedIn? So when you have you done that week? So you basically have your picture. You can upload a little video. So that when someone lands on your page, that little video story comes up and tells you it has to be under 30 seconds. So that's something else.
That's another thing on my list of things to do.
We've done the pitch. We've done it, but it's too long, so I'm going to redo it.
So they're checking you out. They're checking you out, and they're going to see more of you personally if you've done a video and get a feel for your personality.
What you do, what you
what you
specialise in, that kind of thing. So I think that's important. At least that's something that can be done. I do think the video piece with the opportunities works better than just the static. We will implement it. That's one of the other things. Interested to hear what people do with videoing the candidates. Obviously, we don't do that. I'm not sure, Danny, is that something you guys do internally?
Videos?
I'm just asking that because I know some people do for video interviewing, and we were sent someone actually that for an internal position that we probably on paper wouldn't have looked at it, but when she answered the questions on video, we were like, oh, okay, actually, let's get her in. So I'm just not sure
my
how that
clients
works, whether people are
uses
using
that one-way video where
Yes, that's what it
questions are
was.
sent
Yes.
and they're just talking to a camera,
That's the
and
one.
it turned off so many
Did it?
candidates.
Yes.
They just,
Okay.
because you're looking at yourself answering a question. I actually started to say, get a piece of paper and stick it up.
Okay.
Read the question and then don't look at yourself. Try and not look at yourself answering it because it was putting
Put
you
you
off
off.
so much.
Yeah.
So I think for certain types of roles, I don't think your IT people would
IT
love it.
people
Let me say,
don't like it. I was using
we
it,
wouldn't
but
truly, like, you
no.
can literally tell in legal whether someone can do the job or not by looking at their CV.
Yeah.
There's no point, like, even if they had 2 heads and they had that on their CV, you'd still hire.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter, like, it's the same with accountants as well, like,
The
professionals too.
technical skills.
You just, they've done the job, they've been at that firm, they've done that, bang, don't care what they're like, whether they've got personality or not, perfect.
And
But
the
a
That's
receptionist-
B2B, that leverage
side
model,
of it.
that's all it's about.
I'm concerned about the discrimination side.
Yeah.
I was going to say, Rosemary, there's an opportunity for more bias to come in, isn't
Absolutely.
it?
And we're talking about trying to take that bias out.
Yeah.
There's certain websites now that won't even give you the candidate's name, that you will actually, or even their education and where they were educated, so that you can't show that bias. Yeah.
Interesting.
So they're based on the merits of their actual employment history.
on the subject of that video though, it's not great for developers, but for example, I had an application support role which involved a lot more communicating with a variety of different people. On paper, they were rubbish. Personality was brilliant, so it was like, I need to get you in front of this camera so your personality shines, the client will see it, and the client will love you too, and get you in for interview. And sure enough, that worked for a number of candidates, and they got in, they loved them, they offered them, and they're working
That's a
them
good
now.
point. So pre-interview coaching.
Depends on it depends on the job, doesn't it?
It does depend on the
doesn't-
job, and it
it's not
required a
blanket.
personable person who was coachable and had potential, and that's when that could demonstrate it. But developers don't want the camera on there, and it's like it's not about your good looks; it's about what you can do. And but people are nervous about having their face in front of the camera.
So have you guys seen Ashley Rice? in
Oh,
Brisbane?
I know,
You know-
dark hair,
Yes.
Matrix.
Yes, she runs Matrix in Brisbane. She's quite prolific on LinkedIn videoing, and she actually does it quite well. She's in your face, she's got a big personality, and she gets your attention. So Ashley, ASLEE, just to benchmark, maybe her market is different, but I've got a feeling she does technology.
She does tech.
Yeah.
Then she's a recruiter.
She's a recruiter,
She
yeah,
is.
runs her a tech recruitment company.
What's the name?
Ashley,
Matrix.
Matrix. Ashley, ASHLEE, I want to say,
I
Rice.
think so. I don't know her personally, but
Yeah,
I know who she is,
right.
Yeah.
which is probably because,
Part of the argument
She does.
here, right?
Yeah.
She's
to
out.
be honest, I don't think I've seen any of her videos, but I've seen her posts, and
Okay.
I'm obviously aware
Mhm.
of people in the industry. For example, you know Jason Ralston.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
he was a big personality.
We trained him. I trained him when he was at Boston.
Did you?
Oh yeah, when I said trained, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he's an interesting character. And
So
he was,
you're responsible for his personality?
He
he's
I'm
calmed
interested
down
too.
now.
Well, he's calmed down because I worked with Kieran and all those
yeah.
guys. When it was at Boston Kennedy when it folded. That was a job I came back to in Brisbane when I didn't want to do recruitment, but I didn't want to be a lawyer either. And anyway, but yeah, so Jason was there as a little junior, first job. He'd been there for about a month, and he's got a seems like a pretty big business now.
He's doing extremely well. But when he was the first really that launched into
Yeah.
video, and
Mm.
he'd do some pretty crazy stuff
He did,
because he was a young.
He was in boats and scooters.
He was on
doing
the
videos.
toilet, I think, in one of them. But he made, whether you agree with that or not, he
Yeah.
made an impact,
He
and
did.
he's not doing that anymore. He's now running an extremely successful tech recruitment business. But this is within 10 years, and I think part of his success, to a certain extent, was all the video and going out and doing something
It's very
really different.
It's very different.
You're
And
right.
he was a
ahead
bit
of his time.
Marmite.
Mm.
Some people liked him, some people loathed him, but
That's right. And he attracted certain staff members that would come and work, and others would be put off.
I think
by
he
that,
was very good at looking after his staff as well.
right?
But
Lots
yeah,
of
he's,
celebration and that sort of stuff.
yeah, and you know, sticking up for them is one of the people I know that have worked there. So
Interesting.
yeah,
Yeah. All right. Well, look, we probably better wrap up. We
I've
can
got
keep
one
going.
question.
If you've got one more, and anyone else has got one
I've
more.
got one question.
Yeah.
CRMs, technology, what is everyone using for tracking, engaging, etc., etc.?
you mean like active campaign and that?
Oh, just your
database.
Your database, sorry.
Job ad.
Yeah.
Well, there's
Job
yeah,
adder.
Job adder.
I was gonna say,
But
what
we
do-
don't. That's the reason we set up our own, because we hated doing stats.
Well, you don't have to. Yeah,
No,
it's
no,
true.
your own boss.
Okay.
Like when it comes to my own performance review,
Your own
activity,
KPIs,
Ross.
okay. So okay, so job adder.
Job adder, but it's funny, you know, like job adder, I was surprised at how little it actually does.
Okay, yeah,
Like, but I don't dive.
You don't
I
do
don't
everything.
dive deep into it.
okay.
It probably does more than you.
I like the
does.
simplicity of job adder.
So you use job adder?
I think if Ross and I would probably be both in the boss's office being told off for not logging our stats.
Yeah,
Okay.
I can't handle it. I
It's,
think it's the biggest waste of time in recruitment was.
Not necessarily stats, more stats,
No.
but the partly stats, but more
But it's
of a
cumbersome.
relationship
Like
management.
cumbersome. It was just cumbersome. It's like I used bullhorn at you and you couldn't stand it.
Okay.
Used job adder because it was easy and it was just wasn't bullhorn. The best one I actually ever came across was the one at Robert Walters in 2004, Easy. Do you remember how easy was?
No, because it was just getting
was so
implemented.
basic.
What was it called? It was
It
someone's
was-
profile or was it?
No, but it was the first one I joined was
Can't
easy. I just
remember
remember it was just
Oh,
so
okay.
basic.
It was like it looked like a file maker to me, but I can't
It
remember.
did. It looked like a.
Like
DOS
we-
system.
It was the most basic DOS
We have
program
a-
on earth, but it
have-
did everything.
yeah.
Just go job,
I'm
boom,
just
boom.
use
I
and
worked
share.
at Elan and we had advanced revelation, which was basically a DOS-based system. It was terrible, ARAM, but it worked. It was really fit for purpose because it was so easy. It certainly wasn't advanced or a revelation.
What are you using?
We have an old, well, it's called Sales Road, and it's very good for relationship tracking.
Yeah.
It is a little bit manual for us, well, at the moment, so there's not a great SIG integration, there's not a great Xero integration, and because we're a smaller business, it's okay, we can keep on track of it. What it does really well is tracks a relationship between a person. The person is either, can be a candidate and a client at the same time, and it keeps the history, whereas a lot of the other CRMs that we looked at probably a couple of years ago, they treat people as one or the other. And for us, that doesn't quite work the mould.
You can on job adder
You
tick
can
the
on
box.
They can do
Yeah.
both. They wear half orange.
What is
Yeah,
you,
maybe it's
job adder?
changed since
No,
last
I'm
time.
big cherry.
But it is something that we would like to.
Job adder's good value for money as well.
and it's very good if you, yeah, exactly, if you fire staff or hire staff, you just cancel it that day and you're prorated. Like, so,
Yeah.
it's $100, well,
It's 100.
$100
It's
a
just
month
under
per
100.
licence per month,
$100,
per person. I'm sure it'd be cheaper the more you
isn't it?
have.
And well, they also integrate with
And they do, yeah, and it's
and
good,
all that
like,
sort of
it's good
stuff.
enough, like the Outlook integration, you know, where you get a new candidate.
It automatically
But
goes
there's a few things that frustrate me about if you've got Pete's running a job and,
at all. Yeah.
you know, they've applied for another job and you want to apply, you know, on the email Outlook integration, and sometimes your job doesn't come up. Well, I don't know,
I think it probably can do more than maybe we're using
What-
it for,
what,
to be honest
oh,
with
well, I
you.
was going to say,
I would have
what
been happy
doesn't
with
it
Excel.
do? Is the better question.
I like
But
the UI
I
of
can-
it.
I
It
can tell you a
looks
lot about
good.
it, yeah.
It's not fussy.
Can I introduce you to the Brisbane job adder guy, who is actually meant to be here today? Dave Johnson, have you ever talked to
I
him?
think we have, yeah.
But I'll just reconnect you with him. He's a really nice chap. I've used it for a lot of my teams, and it's the one I've had less complaints about, going back to what Ross is saying.
Yeah.
Bullhorn, lots of complaints. Fast Track, lots of complaints. Cherry, I've heard, is okay. Quite good, you might say. But job adder, simple, easy to implement. They're in Australia.
Yeah.
They
We have-
really-
have-
Aren't they part owned by SIG now?
Yes,
aren't
that's what
they?
I'm saying, they've been, yes.
Are they
part
anyway?
owned by SIG, but very separate, they've said.
Yeah.
No, I have, it's just something that's on the radar to revisit, because it is,
Yeah.
I was curious. as to
I mean, Eloise Sutton, who used to work at Vincherry, always used to say the Franken stack. So it's like, as in, it's not a Franken stack. You're not dealing with all different companies with Vincherry. They've got it all under the one roof. So I was able to integrate
Yeah.
everything
Yeah.
under the one roof,
Yeah.
including online timesheeting, but online timesheeting and invoicing and everything,
Yeah.
including the integration with my website and everything.
I need to run to the
Yes,
Yeah,
I've got to,
Yeah.
Thank you all very much for coming.
Thank you
Please do
very
stay in
much.
touch with each other if you want to continue the
Send
conversation.
you connection
Okay.
requests.
Okay.
Am I all right leaving that
Recruiters,
there?
yeah.
Danny?
Thank you very much.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for having us. See you next month. We'll speak soon.
Thank you.
Thanks, mate. Thanks
Thank you, enjoyed that.
No, thank you for coming.
Bye guys.
Yeah, nice
See
to
you around.
meet you.
Bye-bye. Good to see you again.
Yeah, good.
Hopefully got another 15, 20.
Probably.
Thank you.
When I come out of the woodworks again.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rosie. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Good conversation.
Thanks for that.
Thanks for your
Absolutely.
contributions.
Thank you.
Thank you both for your
No
contributions.
worries.
Really good.
See ya.
I really enjoyed it. Thanks. We'll see you soon. They could have kept going for hours. It was great, wasn't it? Was your head just going?
Yeah, all of it was new to me, so it was really interesting to listen to.
Oh, good. But you can see how the issues are, that issue is a huge one for them.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Absolutely.
but that was excellent.